It is so good to have you join us on this night for a night of storytelling. Sanctuary in Calm in Chaos is our theme. I'm Deanna Wildermuth. I'm the Executive Director of Interfaith Coalition, and it is my privilege to be here with you on this night. I want to begin by thanking the businesses that have so graciously stepped forward in this really tough time to sponsor us in this event. I offer thanks to the McAvoy Family Foundation, to IMCO Construction, Northwest Propane, Ecotech, Bellingham Cold Storage, RMC Architects, SPY, Peace Health, Mills Electric, Phillips 66, Sampson Rope, Carmichael Clark Attorneys, the Sanitary Services Company, Dawson, Rice Insurance, and this one I really want you to pay attention to. The Dewey Griffin Subaru Company has offered a $3,000 match for all donations received from first-time donors. So if you have never made a financial gift to Interfaith Coalition, I encourage you to do that today so that we can get that $3,000 match. You see, by your presence here, we know that you care about the lives of the most vulnerable in our communities, children and their families. It is our hope that you will join our sponsors and offer your financial support for the families we serve and the work we do. As we get ready now to begin our event, I share a land acknowledgement. I begin by acknowledging that we gather today on the ancestral homelands of the Coast Salish peoples who have lived in the Salish Sea Basin throughout the San Juan Islands and the North Cascade watershed from time immemorial. Please join me in expressing our deepest respect and gratitude for our Indigenous neighbors, the Lummi Nation and Nooksack tribe. We give thanks for their enduring care and protection of our shared lands and waterways. As I was preparing for this evening, I found a quote from some members of an organization called A Traveling Jewish Theater. Stories move in circles. They don't go in straight lines. So it helps if you listen in circles. There are stories inside of stories and stories between stories, and finding your way through them is as easy and as hard as finding your way home. And part of the finding is getting lost. And when you're lost, you start to look around and listen. And now it is with great delight that I introduce to you Jeff Ziels and Devin Connolly, two members of the board of Interfaith Coalition. Without the board's support and the work of all those people, we wouldn't be able to do all that we do. So Jeff and Devin.
Thank you, Deanna. I appreciate it. We're trying to do this COVID safe, so having dual MCs up here, we're kind of splitting our 6 feet apart and going mask on and mask off, so I appreciate your patience with all this. First, I really want to thank Deanna. Nothing like starting a new job as executive director during a pandemic. Quite a year, quite an entry onto the organization, and just on behalf of the board and all of us and in the community, we just want to thank you. Also want to thank your staff for just working this year through all this and adapting and changing and flexing and all the things. So that just from me, from us, just want to thank you so much for that. So I'm Jeff Ziels. I'm on the board, and Devin Connolly, we're going to kind of walk you through this evening. And the first thing I really want to do is I really want to thank all of you that are out there tonight. Of course, with Zoom, I don't know if there's one person out there or there's 50. I'm not really sure. I also want to know that I don't even know if you can see us because the sun's going down behind us. When we set this up, the clouds were dark and it snowed this morning. So life is kind of flexible here in this year, 2020, and we're rolling with it. So I just want to say thank you to all of you, because what makes Interfaith so great is not just that we are going to raise some money tonight and put it toward organization. It's that you guys donate, but you donate your time and your energy. There's people that make sandwiches and don't drop off books and prep houses and mow lawns and drive vans and sit in endless meetings and raise money and ask to raise money. I might say that a few times tonight just to warn you. And just endless things, and knit scarves and drop off hats and coat drives and endless things for years. And so I've been involved with Interfaith for I guess 20 years. I started by volunteering in the overnight shelter years ago, and I've seen this organization change, and it's just been fun to watch, but it's just so great to see so many people do so many things. So I just want to thank you for all your work. It's weird to say you when I'm looking at a camera. So hopefully there's people through that camera that really understand that this is coming from us. Thank you for all your work and your help through all the years, and let's keep it going. So tonight, this is a kind of a celebration. This is usually the year that time of year that we have our auction, but because of COVID and we made some changes, we're doing some community thing. We're going to actually switch it up a little bit and have individual stories that represent our communities. And so we're going to I'm going to pass it over to Devin a little bit, and she's going to kind of talk about a couple of programs of Interfaith, but then we're going to introduce a couple of the story, and then we're going to show the story and then come back here and check back in. And the whole time we're doing this, I just want to remind you, this is a fundraiser in collaboration with the stories. And so if you're watching on a screen at home, maybe you grab your phone out of your pocket, like I have in this pocket, and you text 44321, and it's all in the front here. I'm going to show you right here, 44321, and the message is calm in chaos. That will switch you right to the screen where you can work to increments or whatever's comfortable for you to donate. If you can't donate by this way and you don't like to do it, you want to send us a check, just the website's there, the address, we'll take a check, we'll take a bag of cash. You can call me tomorrow. I'll come by and pick up your penny collection. Whatever works for you, we'll roll with it. And if you can't donate, keep up the time, keep up the donation, or just a prayer. We will take it all, and we just really thank you for it. So again, quite a year we've all gone through, and I just appreciate you being here tonight and what we're doing. So thank you so much. And with that, I'm going to pass it over to Devin. I'm going to put my mask back on, and she's going to introduce a little bit of some programs, and we'll go with the first story. And I'm going to take this cord, which, there we go, to Devin. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jeff. And I also would like to echo Jeff's thanks to all of you for joining us tonight. My involvement with the Interfaith Coalition is not nearly as long running as Jeff says. I've been on the board for 2 years, and certainly aware of and tangentially involved with Interfaith for a little bit of time before that. But I consider myself a relative newcomer to Interfaith Coalition. And some of you might be as well. Maybe you're attending this event because someone invited you, and maybe you haven't even heard of Interfaith before. And so what we would like to do is to familiarize you with a little bit about what we do and the people we serve. What we do as an agency is we work to bridge the gap between local families who are experiencing homelessness and the skills and tools they need to become self-sufficient in homes of their own. We bring together the strengths and resources of local agencies, congregations, and community members to provide everything from meals and winter coats to temporary housing and financial literacy classes. Our housing programs are unique. In many homeless shelter models, few options exist that allow all family members to stay together, which can be a barrier to a family seeking help. Imagine not getting help for your family during a crisis because you're afraid they'll be separated. The majority of our funding comes from local individuals, foundations, and grants, which is what allows us the flexibility to keep families together. Only about 5% of our funding is from the government. In addition to the direct housing programs that we offer, we also offer long-running programs such as CAST, which some of you may have heard of. CAST started out as coffee and sandwiches on Tuesdays because it was only on Tuesday nights, and now it's expanded to several nights a week. And it has been a migratory program, had several different homes throughout Whatcom County, but currently, on several evenings a week, you can find CAST volunteers handing out sandwiches, sanitary items, fresh fruit, and some other necessities that people who live without housing may need. At the moment, they are on the corner of Lottie Street and Central Avenue, right in front of City Hall. And who knows where we may end up next. That is a program that takes a lot of volunteer power to run, and we're very grateful that that has been able to be running for such a long time. We also have Kids Need Books, which some of you may have heard of as well. Kids Need Books is a program that gets books into the hands of children who may not have easy access to a library or books they haven't read. And Kids Need Books has put over 100,000 books into the hands of Whatcom County children who need them. We have the winter warm-up drive and an annual coat drive as well to get warm items that are much needed into onto the backs of people right at the beginning of winter when it's needed the most. And so we're grateful for your support to keep all of these programs running. Jeff, I'm going to hand it back to you.
Thanks again, Devin. That's great. And again, like Devin said, so many different programs, so many things that we've evolved and the organization has evolved. But it all goes back to all of you who have been helping, who have donated, and we just want to keep that going. So again, the text would be 44321. There's also, if you have a couple screens and maybe you have your iPad and your computer out or your TV, and I'm not sure how many devices people have, you can just go to the website itself. There's places to click on. Yeah, so just thank you again. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being here on your Saturday night as the sun goes down. And again, as I look at the screen, I'm wondering, it's like we're doing theater up here. Maybe I should have had a puppet show to do it. So as we run this evening, and maybe you've had dessert or you're having a glass of wine with dinner or whatever you're doing, enjoy your evening, and thanks for sharing it with us. And now for a little bit of post-dinner entertainment, we're going to go with our first story. Are you ready to introduce the first story? Now we're going to switch back over here. There you go.
Thank you. Our first storyteller tonight, her name is Silvana Clark, and here's a little bit of information about her. Silvana Clark has enjoyed living in Bellingham for over 30 years. The author of 12 books, she has also appeared on the Fox reality show Trading Spouses. She is a 10-time Moth StorySLAM winner, and she can't wait until the shows can be performed in front of an actual audience again. As soon as travel restrictions are lifted, Silvana and her husband will be hermit crabs and house sit unique homes around the country. Here is her story.
It's 9 o'clock on a Friday night. My husband and I are watching Seinfeld reruns when the phone rings. A friendly voice says, "Hi, Silvana, can you take 2 tonight?" Now, Alan and I do emergency foster care. So when the authorities have to remove a child from a dangerous situation, they bring them directly to our house, and that gives the caseworker 72 hours to find a long-term foster home. So naturally I say, yes, we'll take the girls, and they get ready to come over to our house. I go right to my computer because whenever we have children come, we always put a sign on the front door with their names so they immediately feel welcome. The 2 girls are 6 and 8 years old. We'll call them Alice and Piper. Now, they have slept for the 2 hours that it takes to get up to our house. So when that van door opens up, they barge out and they are ready for action. Piper yells, "Can we stay up?" And I say, yes. Midnight is a perfect time to go for a walk around the neighborhood. So Alan hands them each a little flashlight, and they follow him and they start walking around our neighborhood, and they shine their flashlights in all the neighbors' windows. To add to the festivities, they sing Baby Shark as loud as they can. In the meantime, the caseworker's given me some paperwork about the girls. I look it over and I see that neither one has been in any sort of school for the last year. Their dad's in prison, and their mother left them alone in their apartment for 2 days. So they went over to the neighbors looking for food. Now, our sanctuary is a little bit different. It isn't a sanctuary where there's bubbling brooks and little scented candles. We have a sanctuary where we want to give those children that come to our house a soft landing as they enter the foster care system. So we have what we call the Yes House. And basically, our sanctuary, as the Yes House, means we don't have many rules. Actually, we don't have any rules whatsoever. The idea is that for the short time the children are with us, they can relax. They don't have to worry about should they put their towel here, when do you eat? None of those rules they have to worry about. They can relax and just be with a couple of adults who are kind and hopefully a little bit funny. The girls return and they tell me they're hungry. So I heat up some spaghetti and they literally pick it up and start shoveling it into their mouths. So I suggest that they could use the forks that are on the table, and they pick up the forks and they're kind of just spearing at the food. And I realize, because this has happened before with foster children, they don't know how to use silverware. Things are getting messy. So I said, hey, how about spaghetti tacos? So I bring out those crunchy U-shaped pre-baked taco shells. We put spaghetti in there and then they can hold it and eat it and they have their crunchy spaghetti and they're very happy. As they're getting ready for bed, they see our costume closet and they say, can we wear princess dresses to bed? And I say, yes. Well, the next morning, Alice comes downstairs and says, can we play a game? And I say, yes. But I know they don't have the attention span for Candyland or Crazy Eights, any of those games. So we play what we call Broom Broom. Now, for those of you unfamiliar with this very popular game, it goes like this. We cross the street and our association has a little racquetball court. So Alan has one of those big industrial brooms that has about a 3-foot span. And he goes in the racquetball court and then in a very high voice, he says, broom, 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 broom. And he sweeps the floor trying to chase the girls and sweep them up. And they run and scream and they love it. The game continues until Alan is exhausted and can't run anymore. Well, after that, we play what we call Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. We have this, it's like a wagon and a wheelbarrow combination thing. It's really big. So the girls sit in it, and there's a handle that comes over so they can steer how they go. And Alan pushes them from the back on our little quiet cul-de-sac. And this means that they're going, one side of the street to the next and over. They hit the curb, they fall on the grass, they laugh, and they say, let's do it again. So that goes on for a while. Well, I know we need to settle them down and do something calm. So I bring them in and I bring out my world famous homemade Play-Doh. I'm not a very good cook, but I make a mean batch of scented Play-Doh. And Alice gets these little balls of Play-Doh and she says to Alan, can I put these on your face? And he says, yes. So they giggle as they put these Play-Doh pieces all over his face so it looks like he has multicolored chicken pox. After lunch, the girls are supposed to wait for the social worker who's going to take them in for a short police interview. And Piper says, I'm not talking to the damn police. So I say, yes, here's what's going to happen. You go talk to the police because when you're gone, I'm going to set out all the costumes and then you can dress up in a costume and we will go trick-or-treating. And her eyes get really big and she says, it's Halloween? It's May 16th, but I know we can go trick-or-treating because I have given the neighbors candy, which they keep on hand for our year-round trick-or-treaters. And being a sanctuary with a yes house, it isn't easy. Some of these children come from homes where they've never slept in a bed. Like I said, children don't know how to use silverware. I had one little 5-year-old. The first thing he said when he walked in the door and he said, you better give me some video games right now, otherwise I'm uncontrollable. And he actually ended up going geocaching with us, which was not video games. And many of you maybe have seen brochures from like traditional sanctuaries. You get these lovely little things in the mail about a sanctuary that has a babbling brook and gourmet dinners and massages. Well, our brochure is a little different. This is our brochure of all the children that have come to our house, where we have our sanctuary that's a yes house. And at times I have this ache inside when the children leave. And I realize playing broom broom can't make up for years of abuse that many of these children have had. And often people say to me, I could never be a foster parent because it hurts me too much when they leave. And that's true, it hurts, but it isn't about me. So I can just hope that when children come to our house for just a few days, in their mind, it's settling into their mind that they were with two adults for a weekend, that those adults were kind, they were loving, they were respectful. So whenever a foster child says to us, can we go in the hot tub even though it's raining? I will always say yes.
I'm going to take my mask off. Hey, thank you, Cynthia, for that story. And not only was the story good, but I was able to keep on my phone and look how much money we raised just during that story. So I'm not going to judge each story by how much we raised, but it's kind of fun. It's with like a telethon here. So right now, I just want to update where we are. And again, Cynthia, thank you so much. And I want to remind the audience, everyone, via the chat feature, you can chat in questions to the storytellers. And at the end of the evening, we are going to have a question and answer time where we're going to feature all five storytellers, and then we will be announcing. People aren't going to ask directly. Devin and I will be reading the questions, and then the storytellers will be able to answer the question. So if you have a question, feel free to send that in the chat. We have someone here monitoring those questions. So I just want to say we already are at 74 donors, and we've raised over $47,000. So I say victory already. Wonderful. One story down, a lot of fun, celebration of the community. So thanks for doing this. Again, 44321. Or just jump to the website, or do however you want it. That seems to work, and it's working. It's kind of fun to look at where we are virtually. So thank you for doing that. And I'm going to pass it over to Devin, who's going to introduce our next story. So that's how the evening's going to go. And hopefully you are maybe going to your second piece of cheesecake or dessert, whatever works for you. Maybe your second glass of wine. It's all up to you. It's Saturday night. You're home. This is your entertainment. It's cheaper than cable. And as the sun goes down, maybe you'll be able to see us better. Who knows? And so here we are with Devin. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jeff. Before I introduce our next storyteller, I also wanted to share some statistics with you about how homelessness specifically affects Whatcom County families. In the 2018-19 school year, 1 out of every 24 students in Whatcom County, which is to say 1 in every classroom, experienced homelessness for all or part of the year. And during the 2020 point-in-time count that the Whatcom Homeless Service Center conducts annually, 64 families were experiencing homelessness in our community. That was at the start of the pandemic, so we truly don't know how many more families in our community have been impacted by homelessness. And all of this is to say that our services exist because they are needed. Our programs are regularly full. We have families coming in all the time, and they feel supported by the Interfaith Coalition and the work that we do as an agency. So the need is great, and we appreciate your support. Now for our next storyteller, that would be Cynthia Wilson. And I have a bit of information that she shared with us. Nooksack. My name is Cynthia Wilson. I carry the Indian name of Umodulis from my maternal side of the family. My father's name is Calaxton, James H. Wilson from Lummi, and my mother's name is Roberta Hunt Wilson from the most northern island of Vancouver. I am the third oldest in my immediate family. I have 4 sisters and 3 brothers. I have worked in the education field for 30 years, and I truly enjoy working with children from the smallest to the oldest. Many of the years I worked at our own Lummi Nation school on the reservation, but I have for a few years worked in our public schools. I am so fortunate to have learned our Lummi language from my mentors, and I am proud to be able to share it with our children and my family. I love to share stories that have great lessons to live by, and also to see the expression on the faces of listeners when they are listening and learning the many values. I received my master's degree from Grand Canyon University. I love to learn, and it is important we continue to stay highly qualified in any profession. I will continue my journey in education and continue to learn. My philosophy, in short, is to help our children strengthen the educational experience of all and to increase understanding of who they are and stand proud. I enjoy working with others of this area. I believe it is one way to keep everyone going in the same direction. No canoes overturning in the waters as we move forward together for our main resource, our children. Haiska.
Acknowledge the Lummi people, original inhabitants of this area. For thousands of years, they have worked and celebrated life on the shores and waters of the Salish Sea. They are the original fishers, hunters, gatherers, and harvesters of nature's abundance.
Long, long ago, the animals and the birds and the plants lived together on Earth, and they heard of this new creature that was coming. So the salmon, he says, well, who here wants to help the new creature? Who could this creature be? And the salmon said, they're not like us, they're kind of different. We should try to help them. They're not going to have any clothes. They're not going to have any food. They're not going to know how to communicate with all of us. We have to teach them. And the salmon says, who of you will help? And the plants, they said, well, when they get here, I'll be ready to eat. I can be their first food. And the animal said, well, I hear that they don't have any real skin. So if they take some of my skin and put it on them, they can stay warm. They can use my clothes and fish that, well, I could help. They could eat me and then they'll survive. And the salmon said, well, yeah, they can eat, they can stay warm. And so the animals, the fish and the plants and the birds and everybody got together to welcome these new creatures, and so they were able to survive. So that's why we appreciate the salmon, because it was his idea to welcome the new creatures that was coming. And that was the people at the bottom of the chain. It was able to have clothes, it was able to eat the first foods, live amongst the animals. And so the people still to this day honor the salmon for stepping up and gathering all the animals and the plants and the birds. So we're thankful for the animals and the birds and the fish. That's true.
Thank you, Cynthia. And I hope people are keeping track of how many mistakes I will make tonight by first calling Silvana, Cynthia, and Cynthia back and forth. So we have 5 storytellers, and I'll try to keep them in order. Even though I wrote them down, I read them incorrectly as I stare into this camera. So I apologize to Silvana and Cynthia both. So I apologize. That's my fault. So Cynthia, thank you for the story. I love even the intro with the canoes. We're on the canoe and we're not going to tip it over. Super moving. And so again, thanks for this. This is such a fun way to do the evening. I'm going to update where we are. During that story, we got, I think, 4 or 5 more. Now we're up to 80 donors and we are at 48,775. So awesome. We got 4 more donors during there. We made a couple more $1,000. Wonderful to see it. The increments tonight are, excuse me about this, we could take anything, of course, but we do have some increments you can just push on when you do go to 44321 and text in calm in chaos. The first increment is $500. It pays for costs associated with rehousing a new family at one of our facilities. $100 pays for an entire month of maintenance at one of our family housing units. $100 an entire month of maintenance. $50 gives a family in our program an entire set of bedding and kitchen supplies. $50, boom, press that thing, 44321, and you got kitchen supplies, and it's really helping someone in the community. $25 gives a family in our program a new set of bath supplies. So those are just the increments that are on there. You can make your own increment. You can add so much chaos for this office. If you want to do, 1,000, you could do 5,000. We could have Deanna faint, and that would be calm. No more calm and chaos here. So we'll take it all. And we do thank you. Again, thank you for volunteer, your work, your support, your being here on a Saturday night. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So we're going to pass it back over to Devin, and she's going to do our next story person, which is Troy. I think I said that correctly. But again, if you're keeping track at home, and then just charge me at the end, I'll do $50 for every mistake as a donation. So here we go. Back over to Devin.
Thank you very much, Jeff. And that is right. Next up, we have Troy Faith Ward. And here's some information about this particular storyteller. Troy Faith Ward is an 11-year member of the Bellingham Storytellers Guild, whom she heartily thanks for the opportunity to hear hundreds of stories, tell dozens of stories, and be tenderly coached by fellow tellers. She is a retired deacon in the Evangelical Lutheran Church in America. She served in an active call as a chaplain of the intergenerational Josephine Caring Community in Stanwood, Washington. She is a volunteer with Whatcom Hospice, serving primarily through participation in 2 threshold choirs. She has given and received sanctuary in a 50-year marriage. She and her husband are parents to 2 daughters and 2 sons-in-law. They have 1 grandson. And here is Troy's story.
Sanctuary. Sometimes that's nothing more than feeling like someone has your back during a particularly vulnerable period of your life. That was true for Tam, a character in this story. This story is entitled Matzel and Schlematzel, and it's by Isaac Bashevis Singer. Well, the 2 spirits, Matzel and Schlematzel, whose names mean lucky and unlucky, were walking through a village, and it was not too unusual. They got into a bit of an argument. Matzel couldn't help but boast. Schlematzel, he said, people are always wanting me to come and walk with them, be near them, contribute to whatever they're doing. You can't really say that, can you? People don't seem to want to hang around you. Well, no, said Schlematzel, I have to admit you're a charmer, but that doesn't mean that your powers are any greater than mine. I would point out to you that you could work for a year doing good things for somebody and building up their reputation, and I could come along and 1 second, I could destroy the whole thing. Said Matzel. I guess in a way you're right. So why don't we try it? Let's have a contest. And how do you propose to do that? Said Schlematzel. Well, said Matzel, I will find the poorest person in this village, and you have to agree to leave him alone for 1 whole year. Don't bother him at all. And at the end of the year, we'll see how great your powers are. And what do I get? Said Schlematzel. Well, said Matzel, I'll give you a whole barrel of the wine of forgetfulness. And if I win, you have to leave me alone for the next 50 years. Deal, said Schlematzel. And the 2 shook hands and parted ways. Right away, Matzel found himself in the front yard of the house of Tam, a truly run-down hovel of a place. And Tam inside, sitting on a straw cot in tatters so bad that they only half covered his nakedness. Young man, he said, why have you come to this terrible place in life? You look fairly healthy. Oh, just bad luck, said Tam. My father died with consumption, and my mother went to the woods to get mushrooms for us to eat and was bitten by a poisonous snake, and You should see the land they left me to farm. It's so rocky it's hardly even tillable. And last year, just at harvest time, there was both a plague of locusts and a drought. I have nothing to even plant this year, so this year no crop at all. Well, my, said Motzel, that is quite a string of misfortune. But you know, you shouldn't just give up hope. There's always some hope. Oh yeah, tell me. When? Where? When? Well, maybe right away, said Motzel. And just about that time, they heard a clattering outside the house. They ducked out to see what was going on, and here came 24 shining black stallions with guards on them, and following that, the king's shiny coach, and following that, dozens more people on fine horses, all in a parade with the king on his way back to the castle. For a moment, it looked like that the whole group would just leave the city and the village and that nobody would get to see the king. But Motzel was there. And just as they got right in front of Tam's house, a wheel came off the carriage. Clunk. The axle hit the ground and it almost turned over. The king got out with his, was she a vision of loveliness, daughter, the crown princess. The king looked around and said, well, it looks like maybe somebody of my subjects didn't look out well enough for my welfare and my daughter's welfare. Are there any of my subjects here who can fix this problem for us? And it remained silent until all at once, Tam heard himself saying, Your Majesty, I can fix the wheel. Now, Tam had been a smithy at some time in his past, but he thought he had forgotten all about it. And yet when he picked up that wheel, it was like his hands remembered, and he found a hammer lying close to his hut, and he picked it up and he banged the wheel here and tinkered with it there and straightened it, and then took it over, put it on the carriage, tightened the hub, and said, Your Majesty, I think your carriage is ready. The king looked at him and said, What are you doing here, such an able young man, in this terrible condition? He started to tell his sad story, and the king said, Oh, never mind. Let's go to the castle. We'll get you fixed up with a job there. So they did. And when they were at the castle, Tam got a bath and had new clothes and was put to work in the smithy. Now, you would know this was a fairy tale, if I told you all the things that started going right for Tam. Everything he put his hand to was a success, far beyond anything somebody his age and experience should be able to do. The king noticed that the attraction between Tam and his daughter was growing and growing, and even though he liked Tam, he couldn't see himself having his daughter betrothed to a peasant. So he decided to send Tam off on an errand that would show that would be the kind of work a king might have to do. And he sent him over to the backwoods in the kingdom to a tribe that had never decided to be loyal to the king. Sure enough, in a few days, Tam was back with signed documents and wonderful gifts for the king and the princess. You would know for sure that Schlemazel had started messing around, even though he couldn't touch Tam personally, when the king fell ill. And he got sicker and sicker and sicker, and the best doctors couldn't do anything. Finally, there was a convention of all the doctors from miles around, and after the conference, they decided that the king had a disease that could only be cured by drinking the milk of a lioness. And who was going to volunteer for a task like that? But Tam looked at the princess's face and saw how sad she was, and looked at the king and saw how sick he was, and said, "Your Majesty, I will go get the milk of the lioness for you. If you do," the king said, "then you may marry my daughter." Well, everybody, all of the people who were detractors of Tam started terrible rumors. He can't possibly be going to do that. He's just going to run away. And they especially said that when Tam left, not with a few hunters and maybe some herbs to make the lion go to sleep, but all by himself, no weapons, nothing with him except the milk, the jug for the milk. And he rode off. Well, they knew it would be a while before he was back because the lions were all far, far away on the other side of the kingdom, several days' journey by horseback. When he came back, just outside of the city, not very many miles, when he started up into the hills, there up on the hill was a lioness and her 2 cubs playing nearby. He got off his horse several yards away, walked up to the lion, squatted down, milked her just like he would milk a cow. When the jug was full, he put the lid on, stood up, patted the lion on the head, turned around, and got back on his horse. Just as the lion discovered that her dignity might have been compromised, she let out a huge roar as Tam took off back to the capital. When he got there, he went to the king's bedroom and said, "Your Majesty, I have brought you what you requested, the milk of a dog." Well, why did I say that? He thought. Well, we know why he said it. Because his year with Matza was up. Shlimatzel had suddenly stepped in and made him say he was ordered off to the dungeon to be hanged the next morning by the king. No amount of pleading by the princess did any good. All night he couldn't think. Not only could he not speak, he couldn't think. The only people who were celebrating were the prime minister, who thought he had a good chance now of becoming king. And in another part of the castle, in a cellar, were Vatzel and Shlimatzel having their end of the contest conference. And Shlimatzel said, "Well, Matzel, looks like your boy lost. Looks like I won. You haven't forgotten my reward, have you?" "No, Shlimatzel," he said, "you've won fair and square." He walked out of the room, came back pushing the barrel, rolling the barrel, stood it up on the end, handed Shlimatzel a cup and said, "The wine of forgetfulness, drink to your heart's content." So Shlimatzel had a cup, and oh, he felt so good. "I know I can sleep now, finally, after all these years." And he had another cup and another cup until he just passed out. Once he was passed out, Matzel went as quickly as he could to the dungeon where Tam was and where he was about to be taken out for the hanging. The drums were already beating. All at once, Tam found he could think. He said, "Wait, I'm a man that's about to die. I have one last demand, and I demand to see my king." The prime minister didn't like it, but other ministers said, "It's the law, he gets to see the king." Tam knelt in front of the king and said, "Your Majesty, this is what happened. I know that this lion is the king of the beasts, but when I compared that lion to your Majesty, I realized that she is just another animal, and it's like she's just like a dog, and that's why I said that." And the prime minister said, "Too bad, the milk is already poured out." "No," said the princess as she held the jug up. "I asked the servant to bring it to me because I believed in Tam." And she knelt down and gave it to her father, who drank the milk. And his color came back and his eyes brightened up. And right away he could speak and said to Tam, You saved my life." "Yes, he did, Father," said the princess, "and now you must keep your word." And so they were married. And years later, when the king died of a fine old age, the princess and her husband consort Tam ruled with justice in the land.
Thank you for that story. Wonderful again. Again, this evening's wonderful. We're getting texts, reports. People are happy with it. As the stories are going, they're building on each other. Now we have 95 donors over, let's see, we're at 52,922. So we're making money. And I just hope you have a vision of what Dev and I look like, because part of this whole chaos theme is our camera is losing its battery and it can't recharge fast enough as it's plugged in. So we might have to switch cameras. So if you see us disappear, so I just want everyone to take a nice visual of Devin and me on our side part, and that this is really what we should look like. So as the sun goes down and as the clouds change and as we wing this thing tonight, and then suddenly the camera dies, but we'll see how that goes, but we might make it. So we're not sure. I just had to let you know. The other thing that's going on is just a typical COVID year is we do have someone here. If the direct bank transfer feature is not working, it's not working on the bank side, not on our side, supposedly, but that's okay. We can adjust that. And the phone number would be 734-3983. And Andrea's here and she'll take a phone call if she wants to, if you feel comfortable doing that by the phone. Again, the text is 44321, text calm in chaos, and you can get to the screen in all different increments. We've received $25, $50. We've received $500 donations. We got a $1,500 donation. So keep it coming. It's wonderful to see. We're at 95 donors now, and it keeps going up, and that's great. So the more the camera dies, the money goes up. So you can see next year we will put the money towards a better battery and put in that technology. So we're at 52,974. So if someone can give us $25, we're going to be over 53,000. But if you want to give us $5,000, we'll be over 57,000. So you understand my math is pretty good there. So we're going to go on to our next. Devlin's going to maybe give a little intro to the next story. I'm not going to mention any names because I seem to screw those up every time. So I will quit mentioning names. I'll just talk about money, and thank you all. And thanks so much for your donations so far. All your support. Thanks for being here. Awesome. Thank you. Here's Devin.
Thank you, Jeff. Yeah, I do have some more specifics. Before I introduce the next storyteller, a little bit more information about what exactly it is you would be supporting, because we've talked this evening about Interfaith Coalition's housing programs, but here are some numbers about like how many units is that, does that total up to? And so Interfaith Housing currently has 3 apartments and 1 home in Ferndale, 1 home in Blaine, and 3 homes plus 4 apartments in Bellingham. 4 of these housing units are designated for emergency shelter, with 8 others occupied as transitional homes for a stay of up to 2 years. Case management is offered for all families, either through Family Promise, Opportunity Council, or Lydia Place. And all of this is separate from the Family Promise program. Families in our Family Promise program, that's a program that's a bit in flux right now, because before the pandemic, we operated on what we called the rotational model, where a family would be moved in one of our host congregations for a week and then moving on to the next. We're still trying, we're still in the middle of this pandemic. And so what Family Promise will look like going forward is very much up in the air, but we are still offering that housing for those Family Promise guests during the pandemic. It's just a little more, it's a lot less rotational than it used to be. I also wanted to share a bit of information, or not information, actually. I just shared some information. I wanted to share a quote from one of our Family Promise guests. Sometimes families come through and they have experiences that touch them and change them while they're in our housing programs. And sometimes they tell us about it. And we try and capture those because it helps us remember why we do this work. And also it keeps us engaged in what is most important, which is helping these families. One of our Family Promise guests recently said to us, I came to Interfaith Family Promise with fear and uncertainty in my heart. I'd heard traumatizing stories about moving into shelters, especially as a single mother of 3 kids. During our stay, we moved to different churches every week. We were never looked down on or treated as homeless. Food was never a worry. We had nice, cozy beds and rooms to rest in. We had the home-like day center house, which is so much better than roaming the streets with your luggage all day. The help and love I felt from members of the churches was overwhelming. And so now I am going to introduce our next storyteller. And that would be Tammy Cooper-Woodrich. Here's a little bit of information about Tammy. Tammy Cooper-Woodrich is a respected elder of the Nooksack Indian tribe. She and her husband Steve have been together for 32 years. They have 4 children, 14 grandchildren, and 2 great-grandchildren. Tammy has been telling stories since 1985. She was able to spend some time in Australia as a storyteller and was surprised to find the Aboriginal stories were very similar to the local tribal stories. Her favorite pastime is to spend time with her family and friends. And here is Tammy's story.
Lao Telsiaya, Tamala Talskui, Talitokwa Nooksack. Hello, my friends. My name is Tammy, and I'm from Nooksack. I came today to support the Interfaith Coalition's fundraiser, and I'm honored to be asked to be a storyteller today. I'm from the Nooksack tribe. I've been telling stories since 1985. When my son was in preschool, I began there, and I really enjoyed telling stories. I was able to learn several stories from the Pacific Northwest tribal people, and I have begun with that for years and years. I always like to sing a song at the beginning. This is a song that one of my language persons had set up so that I could go into classrooms and sing. And as I said at the beginning, Lao Tilsiaya, that means hello, my friends. So this is the Hello, My Friends song. Lao Tilsiaya, Lao. Lao Tilsiaya, Lao. Lao Tilsiaya, Lao Tilsiaya, Lao Tilsiaya, Lao. Lao. And that is Hello, My Friends, Hello. You remember that song? That was a fun song that we sang in preschool or kindergarten or even grade school. I'm here to tell a story today, and because we're from Bellingham and the surrounding area, I chose the story of Komokoshan. Komokoshan is the mountain here in our valley area. We have been here since the time of memorial, and everything has a story. A long, long time ago, Komokoshan and Tohoma, they were the chief's sons. And you know, long time ago, the marriages were arranged. Oh, those young men, they had their eye on the 2 most beautiful girls in all the area. And they were a chief's daughters. They were twin sisters. Oh boy, both of them courted each of them to see who would connect. And they were so excited, those twins. But you know, as time went by, they both fell in love with Komokoshan. Oh, Tohoma was getting angrier and angrier. But he didn't get so angry because he knew that the Creator had a plan. Well, you know, those girls, they argued over and over who was going to marry Komokoshan and who was going to marry Tohoma. Time went on and they argued and argued and argued. Creator looked down at them and he just didn't know what to do. He shook his head. But he had an idea. He thought if they're just going to argue about who's going to marry Komokoshan, then he would place them at the foot of Komokoshan where neither one of them could reach him. So to this day, the twins, they sit far enough away from Komokoshan so neither one of them can have him. And if you look far enough south, you can see Tahoma. He has risen high so that he could see and make sure that those girls could not have Komokoshan. And that's the end of the story. You know, storytelling is a very important part of our culture at our tribe. And I remember my grandmother telling stories, and she used to sing a song that would just seem to comfort us. And, you know, and I know that the theme for this is going to be the calm. And so I'd like to sing that song for you. My grandmother sang to us before and or after her telling stories. Stenouts.
Thank you. And I'm going to say, I said I'm not going to mention names, but that was Tamara. And even though we introduced her as Tammy, I'm legal, can call her Tamara. So I got one right. So now I'm back to only one major mistake that I know of. And my wife will tell me the rest when I get home. So, but really, thanks for the story. Thanks for the song. And I just want to let you know, she ended her story with a song, and we have 99 donors. So I think someone has to step up. We need one more person, or I'm just going to sit here and talk to the screen over and over, and I'm going to tell a really long bad story. So I want to see 100 on here. I'm going to let Devin take over. But if you're thinking, man, yeah, maybe I'll donate tomorrow, or maybe I'll think about this again, this is the time. I want you to wake up tomorrow morning and regret giving me that 100th person. We're at 99 still. And we actually are adjusting our camera as we speak. So we put the fundraiser thing on the screen because, like I mentioned, our battery did die and we are still running, and we're looking at 53,844. I have a little bit more than our screen. So I need someone else to step up. I got 99 donors. Does someone want to do the one extra? So even though I said I'd keep talking, I'm not getting an extra 100. So please reach deep. Just one person, give me $25, and then we have 100 people that have donated tonight. And I do want to thank the 99, and I want to thank the 100th, and I want to thank the other people that have said they're just going to offer us prayers and have just going to continue with their volunteering and are just sitting here enjoying the shows. Thank you for watching Law and Order or Netflix tonight, for watching Interfaith Coalition. We appreciate it. So I'm going to pass this on to Devin. Again, thanks for all your support. And we are going to switch it to Devin, but you might just hear her. So again, picture Devin as you saw her about 10 minutes ago. Here's Devin.
All right, thank you, Jeff. Let's see. So we are almost at our last storyteller, which is hard to believe. Evening has passed so quickly that we're almost about to introduce our last one. Have we not have some amazing storytellers tonight? I have thoroughly enjoyed everyone who gave their time and energy and heart to donate their stories and experience to Interfaith Coalition. I also wanted to share some examples of our recent work, which, as we know, continues despite the pandemic and despite any other challenges we may face. We still have needs to fill. Just last month, we had 2 families graduate into their own housing. One family is settling into their own apartment, and another has purchased their first home. After being in Family Promise of Whatcom County, the son of one of our guests who had dropped out of college felt motivated to go back, and he has since started classes at Bellingham Technical College. And when COVID hit and in-person volunteering was no longer possible, volunteers started doing virtual story times for children in our housing. Our next storyteller. Yeah. Oh, I'm going to hand it back to Jeff since he's grabbing for the mic.
I was one of 6 kids in a family, so I had terrible manners and I just grabbed what I could. So I apologize, Devin. I just realized when I talk, you guys don't donate. When Devin talks, or the storyteller, so I'm going to talk less, even though I'm talking now. We're at 102 donors. So people stepped up there and we're at $53,900 now. So $53,962. That's going to keep the lights on, keep these programs going that we're talking about. So thank you so much. I just wanted to jump in there. She's going to come back on. I'll quiet. And as she talks, more people step up. And the fun thing about this game of donating is you can do it again. If you click again and you click again and you click, we don't care. We will take you between every story. You can click multiple times. You can go to bed and wake up, have a glass of water and click again. We will take it all. Is that true, Deanna? Monthly even. She said monthly. I'd even say weekly. So whatever you like, we will support that. So I'm going to pass it to Devin. We're going to do next storyteller, and we're going to look at 105 donors next time. So here we go. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Jeff. I don't know. I think they probably donate more when you're talking. That's my hunch. Before I introduce the next storyteller, I wanted to, since this is our next storyteller is a former Family Promise guest of Interfaith Coalition, I wanted to let you all know what we believe our values are, and this is what we strive for in all of our work. And we also hope that that is clear in what we do. So here are our values as an agency. We believe that all people deserve to live in a safe home. All people have dignity and need to be treated with respect. Services are offered without regard to religious affiliation. We respect each person's religious choices and value the power of diverse faiths working together. And we are hands-on in our work together, and we are primarily funded by our generous community. So our next speaker, her name is Kiki, and she is a single mother of 3 who was a beneficiary of the Family Promise program a while ago, but is now a volunteer in our program. She loves to share her home cooking with other families. And to protect the anonymity of our Family Promise guests, only still images instead of a moving video will be shown during this upcoming segment. Here's Kiki's story.
My name is Kiki. I'm a single mom of 3, and we live in Bellingham here. And we were once beneficiaries of the Interfaith Family Promise program when we were homeless, and it was a good experience. It was really a fun experience, and my family, we saw it as it was more like going on a vacation thing and visiting different places you can call home away from home. That was how the experience was for us, because we did get to meet a lot of compassionate, loving people, the staff, the volunteers at all the churches. They were just like an extension of God's hand, constantly reaching out to help us, unconditionally. And that really blessed us as a family and as individuals, because that really helped my kids. They didn't feel like we were alone in it, and neither did I feel like it was super challenging. It was more of a relaxing experience, like we had actually gone on a vacation and we're traveling from place to place, because every Sunday we had to move from church to church, and we got to meet a lot of people. And after the whole thing, we were just like, we want to be part of this. And so that was how we came from being just partakers or beneficiaries of Family Promise program to becoming volunteers with the program. So we're in my home church now, where we worship, which is the United Church of Christ. We kind of like volunteer every time something comes up for Family Promise. It has become like a passion for me as a person, because I know how hard it is when you become homeless, when you don't have a roof over your head. But with Family Promise, they opened every possible sanctuary for us, and they even made it so comfortable that we didn't feel like we were in a homeless shelter. I tell people, I say Family Promise is not a homeless shelter. It's like home away from home. It's just like you going on a journey and you have to stop somewhere. You have to go through some little, ups and downs, but you get through it, because even the volunteers, they don't look down on you like, oh, she's going through a terrible thing, or he's going through, they kind of make it look like it's easy. We can help you walk through this. And it just was a blessing. And so ever since then, we always volunteer to kind of provide meals to the families and to make cards sometimes for families to kind of encourage them that they are not alone in this. We're all with them together. And I just want some of those families out there to know that I've been there. And if I was able to make it through with so much support around me, with, Family Promise, the volunteers and the staff, they can as well do it. And that is why I chose to always prepare meals in my own way. Before the pandemic started, I always prepare my own local meal so that, to kind of bless people with it. I just want to leave like a signature on their heart, like, okay, I remember when I was in Family Promise, I ate this kind of meal, that I've probably never eaten before. And that might be your first time or last time you might even have eaten such kind of meal. So I just kind of do it to kind of send a warmth message into their heart, like, you're not alone in this. No matter how bad the situation is, you have people around you. Just like in this COVID times, we're all in it together. So I have 3 kids and wonderful kids, and they are just like everything. They are everything to me. They mean everything to me. And I was really scared during the whole thing, like, oh my God, I hope this doesn't affect my kids, But I'm glad, even with the support of my own family, I do have families out not in Whatcom County like that, but with the support of everyone around me, we kind of pulled through the whole thing, and they were not affected negatively. They rather saw it as like, it was like an adventure to the kids. They actually saw it more like an adventure. And that really gave me peace of mind, because I was having that fear like, oh, my kids might feel some kind of negative impact from moving around, but nope. Now they feel like we have so many grandpas and grandmas everywhere. So every time they come in contact with those people, they're like, oh, grandpa, hey, grandma, or hey, uncle this, or hey, it's like you having a larger family outside of your own immediate family. Family Promise is a program that is worth putting everything into, whatever we have that we can use to support other people in our community to kind of go through that homeless situation with peace of mind and with I'm trying to find the right word here, like kind of helping to alleviate their fears and concern, to kind of give them a sanctuary for them to feel like, oh, okay, I have a home, because most times when you don't have a roof over your head, it has a way of hitting you hard. Like reality dawns on you. It feels like you're being stripped, of everything you have. It feels like you're nothing, you're no one, especially when you have children. It's totally scary. But with Family Promise, it was just a totally different thing. When I was sharing my experience with some people, they were like, oh my God, you were never in a homeless shelter, so don't even call it a homeless shelter. I was like, yeah, I don't like calling it a homeless shelter, because it's a home away from home. It's not a homeless shelter. So, I really wish that there will be more people out there that can join forces to kind of support, because I know in a program like this, it takes money, it takes a lot of effort, it takes a whole community to come together to keep the program running. So, I would really wish that there will be a lot of people that hears this or listens to this and feel moved in their heart to contribute to being part of an extension of God's hand in the community.
And we are back, and we thank you, and we thank all the storytellers. That's amazing. What a special evening. This is all new to me. I've never been part of something like this and been to a storyteller type thing. So thank you so much. We are going to go to the question and answer, and we've received some questions, and we're kind of compiling them, and Devin's going to throw those out in a little bit, and we're going to have the I think 4 or 5 of the storytellers on screen to answer these questions. So, but because I'm kind of the guy that asked for money tonight, I'm going to continue that role. And we are now at 111 people that have donated. And I want to throw in also that we also have gotten some phone calls. So this is what is on the screen is not exactly, we've even earned more. So we're at 111, we are over $55,000. So this is just, we're awesome. This is a great success. And I want to remind you that the Dewey Griffin did offer a match, $3,000 match up to $3,000 for any new donation. And so we've received some of those. So those are going to be, we'll have to compile those, and we're going to actually add those in later. So that's something I want to remind you. I also want to give you the phone, because we do have someone on the phone. Andrea is there, 360-734-3983. Does that sound right? 734-3983. And you can call in, she can set up a credit card, and she'll do anything. She's our accounting person, and trust me, we will make it work. So again, the number one, the way the text also is by using your phone, 44321. So you can actually call Andrea on the phone, give her your bank account. You could be texting, putting your credit card in, and you could be writing a check and send it in the mail. You could do all those at the same time. That would be fine. That's kind of, we'd appreciate all that. So I think other than that, we're going to move to the question answer. And again, thanks to the storytellers, and thanks for all you and your participation. And I'm going to switch this over to Devin. I just will do a check and see if we are, we're still at 111 donors, which is awesome, because remember I was at 99 and I was screaming to you. So we're going to go across over to Devin, and thanks again.
All right, thank you, Jeff. And now that we have heard all of our storytellers, I can say a hearty thank you to every single one of them who joined us and told their stories for us tonight. We have compiled some questions that came in for the storytellers specifically, but I also have a couple of general ones. Feel free to, and these are specific questions for the folks who have shared tonight. I have selected one of the questions from all the ones that came in for each one of you, but also if you don't like that question, you are welcome to answer these general questions of either how have you found calm in chaos? What has brought you calm in chaos? Or describe your experience of sanctuary. So we have Silvana first, and Silvana, feel free to answer any of the questions I have just answered, or here's one for you specifically. You speak of the yes experience for the children. How has saying yes changed your life?
I think it started when we had our daughter, and my husband came up and he said, you know what, let's be different parents. Instead of saying no, no, no all the time, there's ways we can still have a child that's respectful and has manners by saying yes. Simply, if she says, can I have a cookie? And it's right 2 minutes before dinner, we say, yes, pick out your cookie, put it right on the table, and then let's eat our dinner and you have your cookie. And so often I think with kids, and especially with the foster children that we have, it's just so easy to say no. And by saying yes and just having that little bit of extra energy from the parent, it takes a little more work to say, yes, we can read another story at bedtime. So I don't know, we've just found having that yes, it increases the positivity that you can impart to a child's life.
Thank you so much. Thank you for elaborating, and it's nice I feel like we know you a little bit better now that we've heard that answer from you. I appreciate your participation. It is my understanding that we might not have Cynthia on the call. Is that correct? If Cynthia is here, we can definitely circle back. Okay. Then in that case, oh, do we have some breaking news from Jeff, or did you want to work on the?
Oh, I can always.
Okay, great. Let's hear some breaking news.
A little chaos with the glasses and the mask and the notes being passed. So you're going to check on the storyteller while if everyone's here. And I think I was just donating. We're up to now we're at 55, almost 56,000 with 113. We have 2 checks coming in, over $1,180 from Linden United Methodist. Thank you so much. Another 1,000 from the Hardmans came in. So these are things that just are coming in. And I know some of the people can come up on the screen who's paying. I'm not going to mention too many people, but I just love that that's coming in from different directions. We're having people that are giving with their heart, with their stories, with their answers, and saying yes. So I like that idea of saying yes to your kids for a cookie. I wasn't very good about that. I'm always good about saying yes for myself, but we'll move over to that. But I just want to let you know we're at 113 donors, and that's just 113 people that have donated and feel strongly about this organization, and that makes me feel yes and say thank you so much. So passing it over back to Devin.
All right, thank you so much. Well, then back to our panelists, our storytellers. Next up, we have Tammy. Tammy, thank you so much for being with us tonight. It's good to see you. Let's see. And also, I mean, this is just a question, but if there's anything specific you'd like to elaborate on, please feel free to go off script. But the question we have here is, how do you experience the connection between music and song and storytelling? And like, how would you describe the power of song?
Well, thank you for that question. It's wonderful. And I just want to say thank you so much to all the donors. We appreciate everything that you can give us. I know that it's sometimes trying to think about homelessness, but I too was once homeless. And I know the pains and the trials and tribulations. And having shelter was very important. I just want to let you know that song is very important. I think that it creates a bridge to our Creator. And I know that many tribal people use song to connect to the Creator and to the community. I think that we become a conduit from God, our Creator, to our people when we sing and when they listen and when they sing and when we listen. So I think that it's a very important cultural aspect of prayer. And so every time I sing, I feel connected to my audience and to my Creator. So I'm very grateful to know some songs. I don't know a whole lot, but I know a lot of people who sing and I get to listen. Thank you.
Thank you, Tammy. I also feel like I should let you know that in addition to Jeff and myself, we have a couple other folks in the room with us who are helping make this event run as smoothly as possible. And I'm seeing a lot of nodding heads about the connection with our Creator through song. So yeah, we relate. Troy, thank you for being here with us. What would you say is the importance of stories in times of chaos?
Well, you know, the importance of stories anytime is that you hear a story and you hear it from your perspective and you find yourself in it. You find it touches you in a certain way. And I think stories remind us that as important as it is to live in the here and now, that's the story now. But stories remind us that things do change. And sometimes you just need that comfort that things will be better. And you're reminded of times when they were better. And it's just a comfort to hear a good story. It can make you forget the chaos that's around you for a few minutes. And sometimes that's a very, very important, very therapeutic thing.
Thank you so much. Thanks to all of you. And I did see Kiki briefly on the call. Oh, excellent. Okay. Kiki, welcome, and thank you so much for sharing your story with us also. If we may ask, nowadays, if your life has a bit of chaos, what is it that brings you calm and peace of mind?
Thank you so much for having me this evening. And for real, one thing that brings me calm is music. I love a lot of worship music. I'm a worshiper, so that calms me down. So every morning, I start my day with worship songs on YouTube like that, and just a calm meditation because I connect more with my creator better when it comes to worship and music better. So that kind of keeps me going, even in a horrible situation, no matter how bad it is. If I can listen to music, that kind of calms me. And most of the time, because I'm surrounded with good people, I have this confidence that I have a lot of people that has my back. So that really helps.
Thank you so much. We've thoroughly enjoyed listening to all of your answers and learn a little bit more about you and how stories change you and help you and remind you of better times as well. Let's see. I am going to hand the mic back to Jeff now for another update.
Thank you, Devin, and thanks for the answers there. I mean, as a person and as a father, I feel like I got some nuggets of information I need to do better. But I love that being in the now. And thanks for sharing and thanks for the help. I think we all need that. So again, I'm the guy that kind of keeps hitting up to keep donating money tonight because that's one of the reasons we're here, and we're doing a good job. And I have to say, I'm excited for next year because this is weird. I mean, I think it's weird for all of you. You're staring at us, we're staring at you. It looks like we're going to get through this evening. The sun's going down, staring at a camera and wondering if people even hear it. It just doesn't. I'm missing that human connection. And so we've gone through this, and I'm excited next year. But I'm glad we're making this work. And thanks for everyone participating. Looking at 115 people have donated so far. And I'm looking at the tally, over 55. 5,988, almost $56,000. So just what a successful thing. I would clap, but it would be weird on the microphone. So you can clap at home as you have a piece of cheesecake or whatever you're doing at home. And so, I think we're done with our questions. We're excited for next year. I'm going to throw out a few numbers just to kind of let you know. Again, the number here will be here a little bit longer is 360-734-3983. Call in with a credit card or check, or talk to Andrea. However, we do accept mail. You put a stamp on the mail, it can come and we will process it. If you call me, I'm Jeff Ziels, we'll come and pick up your donation, or we'll send someone over there. We'll do anything you want. You can also text 4321, and that's going to be open for a while. And just text in the message "Calm in Chaos" and you go right to the fundraisers page, and that's how that works. I don't know how it works, but it works on my phone, and it's really weird. But I donated before I came here tonight, and it works really nicely. So technology works. One battery died, our camera came back, sun went down. I think we can see each other. Thank you so much. Any final words? Yeah, Devin's going to wrap it up because she's got our mission in her heart. And yeah, thanks for being here. I'm gonna sign off now, and I'll say thank you so much for being here, and thanks for all your donations and participation. And like I said, through all the years, all the time, everyone has donated to this interfaith that makes Interfaith so special. People from different faiths working together, that makes this community wonderful. Here's Devin.
Thank you again, Jeff. I have one final quote to share from one of our guests from the past. This is one that really touched me. And yes, I've been the soft touch, all the reasons why I love Interfaith so much, and some information about what we do, but also this feedback that we get from people who have come through our programs is what keeps me going. So here is a quote from a family housing guest. "The road ahead is unclear. One thing I do know is I won't have to walk it alone. Knowing this gives me the strength and the courage I need. For so many years, I have felt so very alone, desperately wanting and needing help, feeling trapped and afraid. I took a risk. I reached out for help this time, and I didn't get rejected. Instead, you took my hand and promised you would not let go. You gave me shelter, safety, food, blessing, and your heart. Thank you. And a big thanks to all of you. Thank you for being here tonight. Thank you for our storytellers as well. And also, we would like to invite Deanna Willermuth, our executive director, back to close out this evening. Deanna.
It has been great to have all of you here with us and to have the stories that we heard be shared with us on this evening. You might have forgotten that a little bit earlier, Devin shared that in the last point in time count, there were 64 families that were counted as being without shelter in Bellingham and Whatcom County. Well, I attend meetings regularly with members of the city and the county, and currently the most recent point in time count is being prepared. In a meeting this last week, it was shared that this year in late January, early February, there were not 64 families who were without shelter. There were 96. 96 families, 311 individuals, at least one child in every one of those families, more than one. 96 families. I was interviewed in the fall for a local publication, and when asked about the work that we do and why it was important, I said, we live in a community where it is not okay that children are unsheltered, that children have no place to call home, that parents have to worry about where their children will sleep. We don't want to live in a community. We want to live in a county. We don't want in a state. We don't want to live in a nation where that is reality. Interfaith Coalition is one of many partners here in Bellingham and throughout Whatcom County who are really trying to make a difference. And I will say, really trying to make a difference for the children. And on this night, on this day, I give thanks for all of you who are caring about the children, because that's the work that we do, to make certain that children in these 96 families in January might find a home. I too want to offer my thanks to our storytellers and to all of you who are here, to the staff and to our MCs, Jeff and Devin, to Colin, who has been our technology support, and to others. I offer thanks. As we end this time together, I want to share words of a house blessing that was written by John O'Donohue. This blessing at this time is for you and for your home. This blessing in this time encompasses what Interfaith and Family Promise want to offer to every family who finds sanctuary, calm in chaos through our work and with your support. And so now, receive this blessing. May this house shelter your life. When you come in home here, may all the weight of the world fall from your shoulders. May this be a safe place, full of understanding and acceptance, where you can be as you are without the need of any mask of pretense or image. May it be a house of courage, where healing and growth are loved, where dignity and forgiveness prevail, a home where patience of spirit is prized, and the sight of the destination is never lost, though the journey may be difficult and slow. May there be great delight in this place. May it be a house of welcome for the broken and diminished. And may you have the eyes to see that no visitor arrives without a gift and no guest leaves without a blessing. Let it be so. Amen. We close our evening with a virtual choir that was coordinated by Kevin Allen Schmid from Bellingham Unitarian Fellowship. The choir comprises 57 voices from almost 20 congregations of Interfaith Coalition, and they bring a message of hope and community. The lyrics reflect the singer's commitment to the work of Interfaith Coalition, which helps children go to sleep in their own home. I invite you to listen to the song, "We Shall Be Known."
We shall be known by the company we keep, by the ones who circle round to tend these fires. We shall be known by the ones who sow and reap the seeds of change alive from deep within the earth. It is time now. It is time now that we thrive. It is time we lead ourselves into the world. It is time now, and what a time to be alive. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. We shall be known by the company we keep, by the ones who circle round to tend these fires. We shall be known by the ones who sow and reap the seeds of change alive from deep within the earth. It is time now. It is time now that we thrive. It is time we lead ourselves into the world. It is time now, and what a time to be alive. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. We shall be known by the company we keep, by the ones who circle round to tend these fires. We shall be known by the ones who sow and reap the seeds of change alive from deep within the earth. It is time now. It is time now that we thrive. It is time we lead ourselves into the world.
Some take like a piece of paper and got put on the top of the bottom, like flopped over, and I was like, can I find a way to tell it now? It's like, I don't know.
In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. We shall be known by the company we keep, by the ones who circle round to tend these fires. We shall be known by the ones who sow and reap Thank you.